Okay. Hey guys, M13 here. Topic of this video is, why are scooters faster than motorcycles? And a lot of you are going to say, no, they're not. Well, they aren't. It depends. Sometimes they are. And this is, we're already off topic. I actually have a sexy voice. Some of you might not know this, and that's because I'm always yelling in my videos. And when I yell, my voice cracks and whatnot, and sometimes it goes high-pitched. I actually have a very, see there, it just cracked. I actually have a very deep and sexy voice. And I'm considering doing videos where I'm like just sitting in a chair in front of the microphone just for that fact. Just to show you what my voice actually sounds like when I'm not yelling at you. But I probably don't need to do that because I bought like a pretty good microphone recently. So I could probably speak in a really quiet, normal voice and you would probably hear me. It's just, I don't know if I can get my brain around the fact that I don't need to yell. I don't think I can, it's a hard habit to kick. I've been yelling for 15 years on YouTube. Anyways, so let's first flash back to a story, except without the flashback because I don't have the editing money to do that. Back in the day when I first started riding big bikes in Taiwan, I had a CBR 600 RR. I love that bike. Oh, it sounded so amazing. I had like this modified pipe on it, and it sounded, I kid you not, and I'm not exaggerating, like a jet plane. It sounded like a jet when I was in the high RPMs on that thing. And it sounded so much like a jet that when I was on a road like this and I was accelerating hard, people up ahead of me on their scooters and whatnot would start looking up at the sky, like as I was approaching them from behind, because they thought a jet was flying over. It was, and it was the craziest thing. Yeah, and that's another reason why I love 600s and I hate 1000s, because if you ride a 1000 bike, you're never going to be in the high RPMs, and when you are, you're going to be going too fast for anyone to like notice you or hear you. You know what I mean? Like on a 600cc bike, you still have a chance of reaching high RPMs sometimes, like in first gear. But on a 1000, by the time you reach the high RPMs, you're already doing like 90 miles an hour in first gear. So at that speed, like, who are you showing off for? No one can hear you. No one can really look at you or see you. That's one of the things I liked about the Ninja 650. The Ninja 650, I could hit the rev limiter at the speed limit in the city, so I could hit max RPMs while in the middle of downtown. I could also just go off and on the throttle and bring the front wheel up because it was at its like peak power, right about the speed limit in the city. So that was a lot of fun. To bring the CBR up on the power, I needed to be doing like highway speeds. I needed to already be doing like a highway speed, then roll off and on the throttle, then the front tire would come up. But it's not, you know, I'd much rather show off in the middle of the city than on the highway. Yep. My son has, it's cute. My son has a memory of that. My son has a memory of him riding on the back of my Ninja and us being downtown in traffic, and I did like a small wheelie like through like while filtering through traffic with him on the back, and he's gonna have that memory until the day he dies because he brings it up more than once. He goes, oh yeah, I remember that time you like did a wheelie through cars while I was on the back and we were downtown. I couldn't have done that on my CBR. But you know, the answer to this, of course, is just learn to clutch it up, and then you can do it anywhere, anytime. I just never learned how to clutch it up. Yeah, so what are we talking about? Talking about scooters versus motorcycles. So back in the day when I was riding a CBR 600, I went to some new curvy mountain roads, and when I went to those roads, there were some scooter riders on there, and I was trying to keep up with them, and I couldn't. And I was naive enough to comment on this on some like local Taiwan English forums. Yeah, I was riding my CBR 600 and I couldn't keep up with some scooter riders. And of course, some guys heckled me. And I actually kind of knew those guys, like I'd met them before. There was two guys, and I hated both of them in real life. And they started mocking me They also rode big bikes like myself. We say big bikes. Big bikes in Taiwan, anything that isn't like 600cc or higher is just called a motorcycle. And then anything that's 600cc or higher would be called like a big motorcycle. Because everybody, like, as you know, there's motorcycles everywhere you look here, but they're not big ones. They're not proper motorcycles. So a proper motorcycle in Taiwan is referred to as a big motorcycle. So anyways, I was riding a CBR 600, and these two other guys who also rode big bikes decided to mock me and make fun of me. They're like, "Oh, what kind of a loser can't keep up with a scooter on a CBR 600? Man, you must have like no skill at all." So I responded with, "Okay, if you think it's so easy, let's bet money on it. You guys both own big bikes, so you guys we'll meet up. You guys ride your, whatever they had. They had like one guy had like a 1000cc BM. I think they both rode BMWs, like 1000cc BMWs. So I said, okay, you guys show up on your BMW bikes, and I'll get a friend of mine on a scooter, like a regular 125cc scooter versus your 1000cc motorcycle, and we'll have like a friendly race. And let's race for, I originally said, let's race for pink slips. Like your motorcycle versus my motorcycle. You race a scooter. If you beat the scooter, I'll give you my CBR 600. And if the scooter beats you, and you said that's like impossible, then you give me your BMW motorcycle. And then they didn't really respond or whatever. And then I said, okay, if that's too rich for your blood, let's just bet money. How much do you want to bet? Like $300 US, $1,000 US, $2,000 US, up to the price of the bikes. Like whatever you want to bet, I will match it. And of course, they were too chicken shit to actually, like all words. And why was I so confident? Because if you put imagine a 1000cc motorcycle versus, say, for example, this scooter that I'm riding right now, or even that scooter, on a go-kart track. Not just a go-kart track, but let's say a small go-kart track. The scooter will decimate the motorcycle. Because the scooter because it's the main thing is the weight difference. The scooter is so light and agile that it can carry a much greater speed into the corners, into and through the corners. And the only way the motorcycle would be able to stand a chance would be he'd have to do half the speed of the scooter in the corners, and then he'd have to make up for that in the straightaways by accelerating to double the speed that the scooter's doing in the straights. But then for each corner, he'd have to brake twice as hard as the scooter. The scooter could go around a go-kart track with a consistent speed of, say, 30 miles an hour. The scooter could do 30 miles an hour on the straights, and then hold that speed through the corners, 30 through the corners, and then continue on 30 on the straights. While the big bike couldn't do 30 in the corners, not if that was the maximum speed the scooter could do in the corners, because it's a heavier vehicle, so it couldn't do the same speed as a lighter vehicle in the corners. So it would need to, say, do 15 miles an hour in the corners. And then to make up for that, he'd have to do 45 on the straights, and then he'd have to brake back down to 15. You know what I mean? It would be so much work for the motorcycle to try to keep up with the scooter. And if the scooter was, and then you get a guy, obviously it was me choosing the scooter, and it was me choosing the rider and the location, because they said a big bike can't lose to a scooter anywhere, anytime, any place. You'd have to completely suck at riding a motorcycle to lose to a scooter. So I said, okay, well, I get to choose which rider, because that's what happened to me. I was doing a road for the very first time ever, and there was a group of scooters that did that road probably every weekend. So they were experts at the road. They knew it like the back of their hand. So I was having a lot of difficulty keeping up with them. And I wasn't ashamed to admit the fact, because that's how it works. So, and I wasn't planning on doing this race on a go-kart track either. I had a road in mind, but the road was comparable to a go-kart track. It was a very narrow and very windy road that I was going to get them to race on. Asshole. Yeah, see, everybody that just rode by us on those scooters, all illegal. None of them have their driver's license. Because these kids are students. They're high school students, maybe. And you have to be 18 to have a driver's license in Taiwan. So unless they're all like the ones on the scooters, unless they're all like grade 12 and like, you know, a bit old for their grade, then they're not gonna. So neither tour. You know, chances are if they're wearing a school uniform, they shouldn't. It's illegal for them to be riding or driving. It's a safe bet, anyways. Yeah, and it's funny because in Canada, if you didn't have a license and you were driving or riding and you got into an accident, it would be your fault because you don't have a license. It's illegal for you to be driving in the first place. But in Taiwan, that's not true. In Taiwan, regardless of whether you have a license or not, if you get into an accident, they just look at who's at fault. You might get a ticket for you might have to pay a fine for not having a license. But the funny thing is, I don't know if I'd like that more or less, like that fact. What is this guy doing? He's like, you see, I wanted to pass him, but he's more on the left-hand side of the road than he is on the right. So he's essentially like driving in the oncoming lane. And look at, now he's gonna, yeah, now I'm gonna, let me pass you. There we go. Jeez. I recently discovered this road that we're doing right now. This is along my commute to work, and this road is empty, and it's is this where I want to turn? Yeah. This road is like empty, and I'm really happy that I found it, because the alternative to this road is the road that's over there, and it has a lot of traffic and stoplights, and this road's completely empty. Technically, it's a bit longer, like might be like 30 seconds slower. It probably isn't though, because I saved so much time avoiding traffic lights, and I can do whatever speed I want as well. So yeah, so you know, long story short, these two trolls, coward trolls, they badmouthed me when they said that I couldn't keep up with the scooter on a specific road. But when I challenged them to do the same and offered any amount of money, I even offered them like odds, like my 50,000, that's Taiwan dollars, my you know, $1,500 versus their $150, you know. I lose, I give them $1,500 US dollars. They lose, they only have to give me $150 US. That's it. You know, like I was giving them like incredible odds to back up their words, and they refused. Absolutely refused to take up the challenge. Yeah, so that was the topic. Scooters and for a lot of the reasons that I just mentioned about being able to take a scooter to its like maximum on a small twisty road and be able to take it to the limit. If you're good enough, you can take it to the limits and be quicker than larger motorcycles. A lot of those reasons a lot of those points that I mentioned are the reason why a scooter is actually can be very, very exciting to ride. Like I have a friend of mine, his name is Jeremiah, and he is very skilled and very fast on a scooter. I can't keep up with him. And you put him on a scooter like mine and put him on a road that all the guys on big motorcycles like to ride on, and he will destroy them. and it's so much fun for him. You know what I mean? Imagine being on the what is it? The tail of the dragon tail, whatever, in America. That's a well-known motorcycling road in America. Imagine being on the tail of the dragon and being on this scooter and flying by everyone on a motorcycle. Like just passing motorcycles left, right, center, left, right, center. And then when you get to the cafe at the end, and all the motorcycles that you just passed have to pull in and like see you there, like, you know what I mean? Like the amount of respect you get, everyone's gonna be walking up to you asking, did you modify this? No, it's just a stock scooter, bro. I just kicked your ass on a stock 125cc scooter. Meanwhile, you're on this like CBR 1000 RR, this Ducati, this Bugatti, whatever, you know, like, not Bugatti, what's that? What is it? What's the motorcycle that starts with B? Oh my gosh, I forget. But you know what I mean. You guys get the point. You know, with and I'd much And it's funny because Jeremiah owns motorcycles. He's got a Ducati Diavel, which is like probably my most favorite motorcycle in the world and one of the most expensive motorcycles in the world. And he owns a Ducati Diavel, but he says he has more fun on the scooter because if he destroys a bunch of people on his Diavel, people are going to be like, it's a Diavel. I kind of expect it. But if he destroys them on a scooter, they're all like, WTF. So it's a lot more fun. You get it. And yeah, I'm gonna pull over. I'm gonna end the video there. That's yet another one of my scooter versus motorcycle videos. I have quite a few of them actually. Hey guys, I'm Titania. Look how stupid this kid is. Listen to this.
2. Is that a bird?
No, it's not. It's a cat.
Is that a bird?
No, it's not. It's a cat.
Yeah, it's so funny.